Hi, welcome to the first module of the Situational Leadership course. We're going to look at an overview of situational leadership, but let's first delve into why do this? Why is this an important thing for any of us? Most of you out there, as school administrators, particularly if you were in BOCES or CTE, you look around you and what you are responsible for. If you're a building administrator, you're responsible for all the teachers, staff, support staff working together. If you are a district level, you not only have other administrators, all the TAs, teachers, all the LTAs, all the TAs, all the secretaries, all the cafeteria workers, custodians, bus drivers, parent communities, community groups, advisory teams. And these don't even include everything that you have to. So you've got a lot of people with a lot of diverse backgrounds that the one thing that they have in common with you is that oftentimes you are put in positions in order to move your organization, your school organization forward. You have to work with these groups. And many people love today to spin the word about collaboration. Well, it's great. I mean, collaboration in its theory, it talks about everybody getting together and coming up with ideas and going and moving forward. But there is a real art form, if you will, in terms of approaching your collaboration in an effective and efficient manner to get everyone moving forward, get everyone developing forward in their skill sets along with yours, and getting the task done. um, some of the questions to ask. What's your background? If you're in a general education and now you're an administrator in a CTE program or a BOCES, um, you have a lot of changing you have to do because of the environment you're now in. It BOCES and CTE schools do not operate the same as general education for a whole host of reasons. Primarily because their purpose is, while the overall purpose is education, of course, but their specific purposes are what they are, which make them different than the all inclusive general education. One thing to keep in mind, one thing I want you to gain out of this course is to understand that one size fits no one. Okay, we'll get into this a little bit deeper as the course is going on. Um, Leadership is important, but if you can't manage it, then it means nothing. Okay, right now in today's schools of leadership, and you may have been part of these programs, they kind of put leadership on this pedestal of being the icon of, "Woo, this is it," and then they go, "Oh, those managers, they're down here." Well, I'm here to tell you, after 39 years of being involved in K-12 education, leadership is important. But if you don't know how to manage what you're doing effectively, you could be the best leader in the world and you're going to go and your school is going to go nowhere. Okay. And the most important lesson to learn was one that was taught to me by my doctoral dissertation mentor at Seton Hall University. You don't know what you don't know. Okay. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Okay. Situational leadership was written by Paul Hershey and Ken Blanchard. They first introduced the theory in 1969 as life cycle theory of leadership. Now, with anybody who is producing a work, they're a product of their times. Um, and I find this snapshot kind of interesting. When we talk about the end of the 60s, particularly 68, 69, we're talking about the pushings of social justice issues, um, gender issues. We're talking about the end of the Beatles. We're talking about people taking active roles, particularly young people. We're talking about going to the moon. This is kind of weird, isn't it? If you really think about 2020, from 2020 to 2022, all these things are sort of cycling again. We're talking about going to the moon again. We're talking about social justice issues. Paul McCartney is back on tour, which I think is pretty cool. And we have a lot of not just young people this time, but large fragments of our society on the move and advocating their particular viewpoints. And obviously rubbing some people the wrong way while gaining supporters in other ways. So, what they were talking about here is a new approach to leadership. Up until the late 60s, the the corporate American approach was always top down and very, stringent. You want the job, you'll do what you have to do. The boss knows everything. Everything that flows from the top to the bottom. Um, Paul Hershey and Ken Blanchard started talking about sort of a new approach to things where the leader uh, needed to really make a connection with who they were leading with and doing some work on their end to sort of understand that they're going nowhere if they can't get their team or their group or their colleagues together with them and move forward. Later on, Ken Blanchard work included leadership in the 1 Minute Manager, where a lot of these resources are picked up from that are in these four modules. And later, Paul Hershey's work included the Situational Leader. They never quite left it completely, but they went their own paths advocating some of the same things. When we look at these three quotes here from Blanchard and Paul Hershey, really sum up sort of the important aspects of what they saw leaders and the skill sets that they need to have and what we're going to dive into. One point I want to make as you go through the different slide deck, occasionally you will see this here. This is meaning that there's a link to a resource. So when you click it, this one will bring you to positional power versus personal power. And the reason why that takes you to that link is that what uh, Paul Hershey and Ken Blanchard were really talking about was, in fact, um, the the differences between the authoritarian old style positional power and the idea of attaching some personal power with it so that you can be more dynamic with it. Okay, so what you should do now uh, is look at some of the resources in the platform itself to go over it, and at the same time play the next video, which will give you a real clear sense of the overview of situational leadership. Thank you.